Sahana Vavatu, Sahanao Bhunaktu, Sahaviryam Karavavahai, Tejasvinavadhitamastu, Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. We gather here today with immense joy and gratitude to welcome Shri M, an eminent spiritual teacher, social reformer, educationist, and author. Shri M learnt the true essence of spirituality from his master, Sri Maheshwarnath Babaji in the Himalayas. It was under Babaji's guidance that he received initiation into the Nath tradition, an ancient yogic path. In 2015, he walked 4,600 miles across India for peace and harmony. Aiming to unite people from all over the world, the Walk of Hope was endorsed by the United Nations. In 2020, he was conferred with the Padma Bhushan Award by the Government of India for the distinguished service of high order in the field of spirituality. One of the unique aspects of Shri M's teachings is his emphasis on unity and harmony amongst different religious and spiritual paths. Go to the core. Theories are of no use, says Shri M. His message seeks to transcend the outer shell of all religions by exploring their mystical core to nurture the innate goodness in every human being. He encourages individuals to look beyond religious boundaries and find common truths that underlie various traditions. Shri M has authored several books, including Apprentice to a Himalayan Master, a Yogi's Autobiography, which chronicles his spiritual journey and experiences. He is also known for his role in various social and humanitarian initiatives promoting education, healthcare, and sustainable living in rural areas. Dear friends, please join me in extending a warm welcome to Shri M as he graces us with his online presence. May we embrace this opportunity to learn, to grow, and be inspired by the profound wisdom he shares. Dear sir, our humble and loving pranams. Thank you for this opportunity and for generously offering your time. Over to you.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So there is something here saying this meeting is being recorded, so I can't see the image.
So we are live.
You click on got it or something. Got it.
So we can all see you. You are live.
Right?
Yes, sir.
Can you see me fully?
Yes, sir.
Wait a minute. I'm trying my hand at something I don't like. I don't know. Like, 1 second.
So you can click on got it, sir.
Got it.
Yeah.
So now it says Naresh. I cannot say anybody else.
Sir, I'll be presenting the questions to you.
Now you got it. So nobody
Yes,
else is there? Only because you're presenting? Is there anybody
Yes,
there with you? No?
they're all watching us, sir, live on YouTube.
Okay. Fine. So let me first have a chat with you for 5 minutes before the questions come. Okay? Okay, now the important thing is, as I always say, go to the core. What did you say? Go to the core.
Go to the core. Theories are of no use.
Theories of no use. So why I'm saying this is most of the questions which have come, which have written and given to me, are basically based on theoretical understanding rather than experience. So when you do your sadhana, and as you move forward into the spiritual field, the questions that would come out, some are there, of course. I'm not saying that all are like that, but some like what was there in the beginning before the first thought came, and all that is quite theoretical. Because if you touch the inner core, you will understand this, there will be no questions to be asked. However, since the questions have been asked, I suggest that you need not go according to the number which is number of the serial number in the questions that have been given to me. For instance, there is a question by Swati Sharma. You can read that out. Can we and should we release karma, etc.? On the first page. It's a good question. And first of all, let me apologize to all of you for not being able to physically come there and talk to you. I will do it again. I was not afraid of coming, but there was advice from the foreign ministry that this is not the right time to go, which is why I didn't come. But we'll do it next time when I come to the States. Okay. By then, this will all fizzle out. Don't worry. Yes, Priyanka.
Thank you. I'll now start with presenting the questions.
Yes.
The question by Swati Sharma. Can we and should we release karma, situations, and people that no longer serve our divine path by putting an intention, as suggested by certain current healing modalities?
Yes. So, we are born in this world in a certain situation, all of us. So, we have our relatives, we have our friends, we have people who are acquaintances, and depending on the interaction between them and us, situations are created, and these situations bring about a certain action, sometimes thought, and sometimes action, usually also action. So therefore, if I decide that I'm going to walk on the spiritual path, I'm going to be very simple about this. I say, okay, I'm walking on the spiritual path. Now, if I walk on the spiritual path, it's quite natural that I have to change some of my habits, even in daily life. Now, anything or anybody that interferes with that in some way has to be gently shaken off. I'm not saying violently shaken off. It has to be gently shaken off so that it doesn't then make that particular karma that you're doing even more serious. Situations and people who no longer are walking on the spiritual path, like for instance, I can give you an example. Some of my friends from school and college, although they know that I have something in me which is spiritual, do not follow the spiritual path. It's only in an emergency they come to me and call me and say, hey, can you help us out? But otherwise, they're not following the spiritual path. So I have decided at one point, many years ago, that I will rather move and be with people who are on the spiritual path than with these people, even though they are good friends. I have not abandoned their friendship, but I do not keep in touch with them as often as I keep in touch with you, for instance, or people who come for the talks or Bhagavad or whatever we do, Satsangs. So it is very, very simple. If you are walking on the path, you must try to have people around you who are also walking on the path as much as possible. Suppose now this becomes complicated. Suppose there is a husband and a wife. Now the wife is following, or the husband is following, the other is not following me, following the spiritual path. Now, this is a situation which we need to handle carefully. You can't say because you are not following, I will not talk to you or I will leave you and go away. This is not possible. I mean, in extreme cases, it is possible, but generally not commendable. So you have to find ways and means to move out of this so that your karma from that point onwards, the karma that will not take you towards the truth. There is nothing bad or good. Anything for us which does not take us towards the path is bad, and anything that does is good. That's all. It's not a universal statement. Okay. It is a universal statement. Sorry. Now, here is the thing. Suppose if you go to the Bhagavat, for instance, Srimad Bhagavatam, it begins by saying that human beings, being social animals, cannot live alone in isolation and carry on with their lives. They need society. Okay. Now that society, or those which gather together called society, and lead you to the path, or who have common interests in spiritual matters, or spiritual people who have touched something, this category of people should be cultivated, and that is called satsanga. Satsanga, especially sadhu satsanga, meaning that we should mix with like-minded people, because we are society animals. We cannot live in isolation. So if you do not associate yourself with satsangs or sadhu satsang or people who are on the spiritual path, no matter which path they are going, then what happens? Automatically you will fall into dursanga. Now, this is what the Bhagavat is talking about. So therefore, satsanga is very important, especially sadhu satsanga, because human beings gather in exchange, they give and take according to the society that surrounds them. So therefore, it is in our interest that we cultivate more people and relationships which take us towards the spiritual path and less with the other. I'm not saying you should hate anybody. After all, in every human heart, according to me, there is a divine being. No one can be considered to be bad. But we should associate more with those who are on the path, and therefore automatically your association with those who are not on the path will become less. I mean, it's inevitable. You can't do anything about it. Now, this is called sadhu satsanga as against dursanga. So this is the advice I would like to give to Swati.
Thank you, sir. In your talk on the Bhagavatam, you beautifully mentioned that the Pandavas were not just heroes that won the Mahabharat war. They were also heroes of the heart. Can you please elaborate on that statement? This is by
Now, which page? Let me hold, because I'll forget by the time you finish what you said. That's my problem. Oh.
So this question is by Hari Velodi. Should I repeat the question?
No, I'm looking at it. If Hari is here. Hari, yes. In your talk on the Bhagavatam, you beautifully mentioned that the Pandava, is everything going okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, Hari Velodi says, in your talk on the Bhagavad, you beautifully mentioned that the Pandavas were not just heroes that won the Mahabharat war, they were also heroes of the heart. Can you please elaborate on that statement? Yes. If you look at every character in the Bhagavad, I like this question. If you look at every character, especially the Pandavas, in the Bhagavad, there are others also like Vidura and so on. But if you look at the Pandavas, you see their intentions were always good. They were not just heroes fighting a battle and trying to win it. In fact, one of the important Pandavas, Arjuna, has to be goaded on by Krishna to go for the battle. He says, I don't want to do any of these things. I don't want to kill my relatives. I'm moving back. I'm retreating. But Krishna who said this is a dharma, war for dharma. We need not consider about relatives or non-relatives. What is righteous has to be done because you're a ruler, you're a king, you're a Kshatriya. And he goads him on. So deep in Arjuna's heart, what remains? Deep in Arjuna's heart, there is this kindness, there is this compassion. This is why I said heroes of the heart. They're ready to do anything for this. Take the case of Yudhishthira. After the battle is won, he is mourning. What has happened? Why have I done this? Why have I gone into this battle? So many people have died. It's not just winning the battle. They were heroes of the heart. That's what I meant. Because for them, the heart, compassion, love, they did it because it was a duty to do it. If somebody occupies your country and wants to take it back into the dark ages, you'll certainly fight the war. But that doesn't mean you hate the guy who's attacking you personally. See, this is very important to know. Okay. I want to give you one example just to show what I mean by heroes of the heart. You know that Ashwatthama fought against the Pandava, right? Now, Ashwatthama fought against the Pandava. Not only that, he sent that terrible weapon called the Brahmastra, which could even go into the tombs, into the wombs of women and kill unborn children. It was like child slaughter, actually. And yet, after the war is over, after they won the war, they find Ashwatthama. Arjuna finds him, slowly trying to slink away. He catches him. Ashwatthama is a great warrior, you must understand this. He brings Ashwatthama in front of Krishna and lays him there and says, what do I do? But Krishna brings him to Arjuna, and says, asks Krishna, what should I do now? This is the guy. Krishna says, this is the fellow who sent the Brahmastra to kill even the little kids in the womb. So he's guilty of child murder apart from other things, to kill him. With a smile on his face. You know how Krishna operates. Mahabharata and Bhagavad. He wants to test what people think and how they're moving forward. That is his intention. So Arjuna says, no, I cannot kill him. Why? He's my Guru's son. All that I am is because of his father, Dronacharya. He is the one who taught me archery. He is my Guru's son. I cannot touch him. I cannot kill him. Plus, Brahmahatya is a bad thing, to kill a Brahmana. Otherwise, I will not do it. I refuse to do it. Okay? Krishna says, then let's take him to the matriarch of the family. Not only the Pandavas, all the characters. Take her to Kunti. And Kunti, whose children were killed, says, no, Arjuna, you cannot kill him. He is your Dronacharya's son. He is your Guru's son. How will you kill that? What is your dharma if you do that? You said this is a dharma yudh, right? So, set him free. So Krishna says, for a Brahmana, cutting off his hair is equivalent to killing. You know, when a person is a Brahmana, he has his hair is left long, which is tied up in a bun. It's called a kudumbi. If you cut it off, which means you're taking sannyas. And for a Brahmana to cut off is equivalent to death. So he says to Arjuna, cut off his tuft and send him away. So Arjuna cuts his tuft and Ashwatthama goes away. That's why they believe that Ashwatthama never died. He's still around somewhere. Maybe meditating. So this is the reason why I say, if you examine every hero, Pandava, especially the Pandava side, Bhishma, we don't have to say, even though he fought on the side of the Kauravas, without Bhishma on his deathbed, the Bhagavad Gita would not have been ours. by heart. They were heroes of the heart. They were not just fighting a war for personal aggrandizement or profit. That's what. So this is what I want to tell our friends.
Thank you, sir. So this question is by Diane. Dear Shriyam, pranams.
Can you show? I'm just trying to figure this out. Where is it?
Once we
What?
start spiritual.
What is the spelling? What is the spelling?
D-I-A-N-E, Diane.
Hey, Diana. Diana?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay. What is the question?
Dear Shriyam, pranams. Once we start our spiritual process and do sadhana for some time, there seems to be a change in the patterns that make up our personality. Some patterns go away and some new patterns form and make us a little worried. Is there something normal? And is there a stabilization personality pattern that we will reach at some point?
Right.
Thank you.
Now, this is very natural that when you start your spiritual process and do your spiritual practice, which is what is meant by sadhana, there will be a change in the patterns that make up your person. One of the important, if you're truly doing the sadhana, and if you're truly walking on the spiritual path, one of the important things that will happen to you is that you'll find that you're becoming kinder, you're becoming more compassionate, more caring, and also in some way more introvert. This is understood. It has to happen. If it doesn't happen, that means we are not doing sadhana, we are not working on the spiritual path. If you are, this is bound to happen. This change in personality. There are a few other things, but this certainly will happen. And you will find that your personality changes, that some things which never mattered to you now matter, and things which really matter to you have fallen off. So there is a change in personality. This is normal. Absolutely normal. So in the beginning, one finds it a little difficult to stay in a stable pattern because this is weighing against you, that is calling you from this side. By and by, if you're a serious student, if you do your sadhana and your spiritual intention is clear, then you will gradually learn how to balance these traits which are happening to you. But that changes will happen in the pattern of your personality. There is no doubt at all. Absolutely no doubt. So nothing to worry then. Diana has nothing to worry. Even I have gone through this. I also was wondering what is happening to me, but then that's how it is. And over time, by and by, stabilization will take place. You have to be patient.
Question by Professor Muthukumaran. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha.
Wait a minute. Let me just check where this is so that I don't say wrong things. Who? Muthu?
Muthu Pakirasamy. The next
You
question.
said something else.
I said Shri Gurubhyo Namaha.
No, before that you said question from.
Professor, the question is from Professor Muthu.
Oh, he's a professor, right? Because in this it's not written, that's why. Okay. So what is the question?
In the evolution of human psyche, the intelligence of humans is expected to allow inward-looking spirituality and free mind and not dependent on things.
Okay.
But the new area of artificial intelligence will make humans more mechanical and dependent on machines. Will artificial intelligence counter the spiritual growth of humanity towards freedom?
No. Fortunately, this is not going to happen. Well, artificial intelligence is good, just as IT is good. Without IT, we cannot talk to each other right now. Positive point. Negative point is in IT, there are also many negative things which can be presented. and which can get people's attention. So for us, it is to avoid the negative and look at the positive. Artificial intelligence as such is not a bad thing. I think it can help us in many things, but it should not be a substitute for compassion. Machines cannot be compassionate. Computers cannot be compassionate. Computers can predict the feelings of a compassionate person, but it has no compassion by itself. We have never heard of two computers falling in love with each other. So what they're trying to say now is through artificial intelligence, perhaps this is possible. I'm saying no, it's not possible. You can use it for growth, but it will not take you away from the spiritual freedom that you seek. In fact, the very question indicates that we are worried that we would be bound by artificial intelligence and we want to be free from it. Even the question indicates this. So when this is ultimately there in the mind, in the front of our mind, then no artificial intelligence can dilute this understanding and desire for absolute freedom in us. Very soon, I'm telling you, I'm saying this, write it down. After 10 years, you'll find that it's true. People will get so fed up that they will try to find freedom from artificial intelligence. In fact, artificial intelligence itself will suggest to you, be free of me. If it's going to be intelligent.
Sir, he also asks that if we can consider spirituality as the subtle science that needs dedicated and serious minds to understand, as the brain is the only faculty available to experience spirituality, I'm worried that one might try to get the spiritual experience through direct brain manipulation in the future. Do you think this is ever possible?
Professor, that also is not going to happen. I can assure you, because it's not, the brain is not the only faculty to experience spirituality. When I would say that, I can understand what you're saying. The present instruments are the present centers of the brain which are active. We think that they are the only things available to us. There are so many centers in the brain which have neither been explored. We live a life of what you call a frontal lobe intelligence. More importance is given to the front. There are many parts of the brain. 20% of the brain is being used today. There are 80%, there are parts of the brain which have not been looked into. The job, the work that the yogis do and the mystics do is to delve into these parts which are not ordinarily known to mankind. And when you center into those parts of the brain which work, then they will definitely take you towards growth of spiritual understanding. And the brain cannot manipulate, because the only brain that can manipulate is a known brain. Those parts of the brain which are known to us are the only parts which can manipulate. The other parts which are there, for instance, let me tell you, there are centers in the brain which we call the chakras, not only in the spinal cord, but also in the cerebral area. Not much discussed, of course. One is this, two are always discussed, the Ajna Chakra and the Sahasrara. Now, the pineal gland, for instance, which controls your sleep and waking cycle, the circadian rhythm. This is also a very important point for spiritual growth. Because from the Vedantic point of view, for instance, I'm giving an example, I know it personally, but I'm giving you an example to clarify that the pineal gland is connected with your sleep cycle, circadian rhythm, sleeping and waking. Go one step beyond. Turiya is supposed to be one step beyond Sushupti. We are saying that the pineal gland is not only responsible for the circadian rhythm, but it goes one step forward and intrudes in or goes into the area of Turiya also. Now, what I'm trying to say is the known parts of the brain through media and other factors can be manipulated, but these cannot be. These can only be activated when one goes deeply into spiritual meditation. It doesn't require any instrument to do that, physical instrument. And when this is done, then spiritual truth will be found not through manipulation, but through inquiry. So this is my food for thought to Professor Muthu. Think about it and get back to me at some point.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. So Satyaji asks, life is so unpredictable and ever-changing.
एक मिनट रोको, सत्या जी कहाँ है? हाँ, okay.
Yes.
Tell me.
Life is so unpredictable and ever-changing. How to keep steadfast faith when there's so much change in life? That is change in family, change in job, change in health, and change in finances.
I have to tell Satya that it's precisely this that makes one find somewhere to hang on, faith. There's this changing situation that actually initiates faith. It doesn't take, you see, why do people want to look for something outside this world of change? Because they somewhere deep down in their mind, they know there must be something. The great teachers said, yogis said, Bhakta said, there is one part of the heart which is not changing, which is full. This is faith, which is full of happiness, which is full of bliss, which is compassionate. Now, to find that is what is called spiritual. And if you see that things are changing, that's all the more reason why one should have faith. Faith in something that is unchanging when everything around you is changing. I mean, it's quite logical. Actually, I would like to put the question the other way around. Since life is ever changing, and since there is so much change in life, family, job, I would also say in many births, you come in many births, different changes are happening. Therefore, is there something which is changeless? Seeking of that is called spiritual search. Seeking that is called faith. When I'm lost, you see, I decided I will gather wealth, or I will gather knowledge, or I will become this and I will become that, I will become a politician. Okay, end of my life, I say, all this I have done. Where have I reached? Then I think perhaps there's something other than this. When that inkling, small thought comes in your mind, that is the beginning of faith. It is uncertainty and change that brings about faith, not the other way around. So this is the truth, Satya, that I'm discussing with Satya. Satya is right, but look at it the other way around.
Right, sir. Thank you, sir. So question by Prashant Potti Krishnan. How does a spiritual teacher feel about students?
Shiksha or Prashant? Prashant, okay. How should I?
How does a spiritual teacher feel about a student?
Where is this question? 1 second, let me pick it up. Prashant? But Prashant has some other question here. How should a sadhak manage their kriya? So which Prashant?
So we have 2 questions by Prashant.
Which is Prashant Potti is separate from Prashant?
Yes, I'm reading Prashant Potti's question.
Oh, okay. Right.
How does a spiritual teacher feel about a student who was initially very focused on spiritual matters, but later gets caught up in worldly attachments, commits mistakes, and deviates from the spiritual path?
All questions are from Prashant. Okay.
Does the spiritual teacher silently help such a student to come back on track? Or is it up to the student to take responsibility and, if required, ask the teacher for help?
Yes. How does a spiritual teacher feel about a student who was initially very focused on spiritual matters, but later gets caught up in worldly attachments, commits mistakes, and deviates from the spiritual path? Does the spiritual teacher silently help such a student to come back on track, or is it up to the student to take responsibility and, if required, ask the teacher? Both. Both are possible. Both are required. Because if you are seriously inclined towards spiritual matters, generally little chance of deviating. But the world is so attractive around you. There is hardly anybody looking for spiritual progress, very few. So you fall into the dursanga. Then you are caught up in all these attachments. You commit mistakes. You deviate from the spiritual path. You think it's better to have 2 drinks than to meditate, and so on and so on. I'm just giving it. Now, yes, the spiritual teacher also helps. But before the spiritual teacher helps, spiritual teacher has to keep track of hundreds of people. So it's a good idea to ask for help. Ask for help and then take responsibility. Simply, if you say, I'm not going to do anything about this, please help me, and say, it doesn't work. Please do your work and ask for help. And help need not necessarily be that you have a one-on-one and talk. That's not required. If you have that much of faith in the spiritual teacher, you can understand that help is always available. But once suggestions are given, you have to act on it. There's no way out. So this is what I have to say. And okay, that's all, no? Any
Yes.
other?
So next question, let's take it up by Shiksha. How do I
Shiksha.
receive
Hmm.
Guru Kripa
Hmm.
or become receptive to Guru Kripa? How do I purify my mind and seek clarifications for my never-ending questions in this journey?
Right. It's very natural and common that many questions will come up on this journey. There's nothing wrong with that. Many questions will come up. But you cannot answer or even get somebody to answer all the questions at once until you have your own personal experience. Till then, till you reach the point where you have touched that which you're seeking, the questions will come. You may answer one question, another question will come. You could answer that, the third question will arise. At some point, you come to know that it is just a vicious circle that moves on and on with questions coming and answers, trying to find the answers. It's unending. One day after all those things, you sit silent and say, I think this is not working. Because when I answer one question, another one is coming up. When I answer that, another one is coming up. I can ask the teacher, but he can also answer to some limit, right? Not beyond that. Can I say, okay, questions, please stay with my shoes when I take them out. Leave them at the doorstep and sit quietly. Sometimes you will find that the answer to all the questions occurs. Why? You have touched the core of your being. Till then, questions are bound to happen. There's nothing to worry about. Try to seek answers, no harm. As much as we can answer, we will answer you. But till you have touched, why is the teacher able to answer you? Because he has some experience, personal experience. So till you touch that personal experience, it's futile to say, I don't want to ask any questions. Right? When you feel that while questions are okay, they need to answer your logical mind, there is something which is beyond all this, which comes when the mind is quiet, neither asking nor answering. And everybody has that capacity at some point or the other. When this happens, then you realize the importance of sitting quiet. Otherwise, questions come, you need to work on them and try to answer them. Because questions come, don't doubt your spiritual progress. You're still progressing. In fact, you may be so sincere that you want to ask some questions. That's okay. The teacher said, don't ask this question. That means either they don't know the answer or they're just trying to avoid you. Both are wrong, from my understanding. So, Shiksha, this is part of your Shiksha. Oh, who is this? Shiksha? Yeah.
Thank you, sir. So, message by Sunaina Reddy. Pranams, Guruji.
Where is Sunaina? 1 second, let me get Sunaina ready on. Oh, I still don't see Anjana, Gopika, Sunaina.
Question is related to Garbh Sanskar.
Sunaina. I have to sing the Sunaina. I have Siksha, Prashant, Bharati, Satya. 1 second. Unless I missed some paper. I'm looking because I want to remember it properly before giving. Keval, Hriday Mehta, Pandya, Jason, Jefford, hey, I don't. Shraddha, Shreya, Poonam, Satish, Sunita Bansal. I don't. Here that is. Got it. Sorry.
Should I read it out, sir?
Sunaina Reddy, please read.
Pranams, Guruji. My question is related to Garbh Sanskar. They say when you are pregnant, you need to be careful what you consume because your unborn child is consuming it. What can I, as a pregnant mother, do in order to develop my baby spiritually? Like, what books can I read? Meditation techniques can I do? And chants or prayers can I listen to? Also, I practice Kriya. What are the benefits of doing Kriya during this time for me and my baby? Thank you. Please bless me and my unborn baby, Guruji.
Right. Blessings are there. Don't worry about that, since you're also doing Kriya. But I'll start with the last part of the question. If you are practicing Kriya, depending upon the month of your pregnancy, after, say, the 2nd or 3rd month, stop practicing some parts of Kriya, like Mahamudra, for instance. And avoid practices where you hold your breath for too long a time. When you do Kumbhak, do it for a short while and avoid Mahamudra. This much as far as Kriya is concerned. Otherwise, you can do the rest. There is no harm. Actually, not no harm. It's related to your question. It will affect the baby in some way. The baby, when it is born, when it becomes intelligent, it will start wondering what is this yoga that my mother was doing. It will start looking into this. In fact, I want to tell you a story about this, about Garbha Sanskar. Narada says, when he was a child sitting in the Garbha of his mother, he used to hear rishis talk about the Brahman, Supreme. So when he was born, that curiosity remained with him. And then came a stage when he was a small boy and the rishis came and stayed and his mother used to work for them during the Chaturmas. And he listened intently to what they were saying. Now, this couldn't have come unless he got the Garbha Sanskar when he was womb. I'm giving you just some examples. Okay, the great story called the Bhagavat started with Parikshit. Sukadeva teaching Parikshit. Now, how did Parikshit even come to know that something like this could exist? because it is said that he was Abhimanyu's son. He was in the womb of his mother when Ashwatthama sent his Brahmastra. So, as a child in the womb, you should understand, after a certain while, the embryo becomes very sensitive to all kinds of influences. You should know this. So what happened? He felt a burning fire coming towards him. And then he also saw, he thought he's going to be burned. He also saw a small blue-colored guy with a mace in his hand, with a gada, suddenly jumping in and driving the fire out. So when he was born, he always was looking for that blue figure who saved him from the fire. Where did the sanskar come from? The garbha. Now, and when he started speaking, he met anybody, he would closely look at them and say, is this the guy? No, not this guy. So he started trying to figure out. That's why he was called Parikshit, because Pariksha means to examine. To examine. This is called Pariksha. And so he was named Parikshit because he was always looking for that blue entity who came inside. Who knows in the womb what all entities come? We don't know. We are ignorant of that. So, chanting, beautiful music, good food. When I say good food, food which is eaten without causing injury to animals, and fruits, good food, good music, good discussions. All these are important when you are carrying a child in the womb. Especially the Maha Mantras like Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namo Narayana, if you are a Christian and if you have a child, Garbha, then there are Christian prayers also available. It's not as if there aren't. Blessed Mary, Mother of God, this is also what you do in the Rosary. So all spiritual things should be, the child should be exposed to, thinking that it is already grown up and alive. Then you'll see that the child, when it is born, it gets these impressions. Now, having said that, there may be even a child in the womb of a mother who is not interested in any of these things, is only interested in other things. But when such a child, if it had an influence in many past births, it will be born as a rebel child who will say, no, I don't want any of these things. So Garbha Sanskar is very important, and since she has asked, yes, read good books, read the Gita, read the, don't read Yoga Vasishtha, unless you want your child to become a sannyasi. But read Swami Vivekananda, read Ramayana, read Mahabharata, read the Bhagavad, and meditate any technique, do your kriya, and chant the Mahamantras. If nothing, just chant the sound of Om, pure sound of Om. That will have a good influence on the child. This is what I have to say.
Thank you, sir. Question by Dikshesh. There is Dikshesh.
Dikshesh, okay.
Read the latter part. There is a constant and extreme desire to know my true self. Leaving samsara in search of truth is not an option.
Right.
Yet, it's hard to navigate through the uncertainties of samsara when a part of you constantly wants to look for the truth. I try and want to be a true yogi, steady in all circumstances. I have my parents, but without a guru, I feel orphaned. I need help. Thank you.
I'm not sure if my call is heard. You didn't read that. Stupid of me to ask, but please pass on the message to the gurus that I need help. That's what Well, message already passed. Okay. Dikesh. Dikshesh, yes, Dikshesh. Dikshesh means one who has been already given a Diksha. Dikshesha. Now, there is some reason why you are searching for the truth. It could be a culmination of some lives of searching for the truth, that in this life you are still continuing to search for the truth. Truth cannot be defined. So don't suddenly get into any definitions of truth. Now, since you asked the question, yes, all the holy, the spiritual teachers have come to know. You don't have to send a message to them. They know when there is an aspirant who is really, really serious. You don't have to advertise or tell them. Nothing is required. Already there. Look, personally, when I was so hard seeking, Maheshwarnath Babaji came all the way from the Himalayas to my home in Trivandrum when I was 9 years old, because he knew I was seeking in the same way. Somebody is already guiding you. May or may not know the person or may not have seen physically, but the guidance is definitely there. Uncertainties of samsara. So how do I look for truth? This question. Samsara is always uncertain, which is the reason why you should look for something which is not uncertain. The very fact that you're seeking something spiritual is that you're trying to seek certainty in the midst of all uncertainty. And samsara is definitely uncertainty. There is no question about it. Today somebody is rich, tomorrow is poor. Today you're healthy, tomorrow you're sick. Today somebody loves you, tomorrow they hate you. This is samsara. That's why it's called samsara. Now, it is because of this that you look for something which is certain, free from all these uncertainties. You cannot run away anywhere, because wherever you go, you carry your mind, and your mind is soaked by the samsaras. So the samsaras are carried with you. Go find some time every day, even inside your bedroom, make it your cave. Or go sit in the garden under a tree and meditate silently in the recesses of your heart, looking for that certainty. I don't want to define it, because then you'll imagine what I define. Set your mind free and sit quietly and allow that peace to take over. That is the best way to be free of uncertainty. And that you feel uncertain is actually goading you on to find that which is certain. And don't worry about help. Help will always come. When you're sincere, help comes if you're serious. Not merely because you write the question, but if you really are serious.
Thank you, sir. Question by Harsh Pandey. What is the best way to burn accumulated negative samskaras?
What is the best way to burn accumulated negative? First, you need to identify these accumulated negative samskaras. First of all, you don't know which samskaras are accumulated or which samskara have come in this birth. You need to figure that out first. Maybe we think they're accumulated, but they're already there in this life. They just come to you now. Or they could be accumulated many births. Or maybe in this life, from childhood to now, when you're talking about it, some karmas have negative samskaras have accumulated. Okay. Having said that, understood this, there is no way to free yourself from negative samskaras other than substitute them with positive samskaras. You cannot just throw them off into the sea. It's not going to work. You have to substitute them with good samskaras. For instance, if somewhere deep in my heart, my samskaras have become so bad that I always want to harm somebody or hurt somebody, then how do I get free of it? Not by wishing to be free of it. I may think it is bad and I want to get out of it. I may wish for it, but it won't work. So what should I do? Develop positive samskaras. How do I do that? Even if somebody provokes me, I say, I'm not going to be provoked. Instead, I would say that probably this guy is pointing out my mistakes because I need to be corrected. Is God in human form pointing out my mistakes so that I can correct myself? Or if you feel like shouting at somebody or scolding, I'm just giving a few simple examples. Instead of that, talk sweetly to that person. If a person keeps cursing you, I know it's not easy. Bless them that curse you, Jesus said, but it's not easy for an ordinary man to do. Try. At least keep quiet. Don't curse back. Huh? So these are the practical steps to deal with your negative samskaras. The other is from day one, from today, since you asked me this question, try to sit down quietly every day and meditate on the fact that deep in the core of every human being, there is a spark of the divine. First, meditate on the divine spark in yourself. If it is in you, it cannot be that only you have the spark. All human beings must be having. Actually, all living beings should be having. So, after your meditation, when you go out, and if somebody is irritated with you, say, okay, now this must be one way of testing me out. In the person who is irritating me, also there is a divine spark. You don't have to fall at that person's feet and say you are God. No, they think you're gone mad. But at least with this thought in mind, you won't react. You say, okay. And if you don't do this for some time, the assault will become less. Who will want to attack somebody who returns it with a good wish or just keep quiet? So these are some of the ways, but I think the most important thing is to start some kind of simple meditation every day. So you're charged with some energy which is positive. And if you have no other mantra to chant, say, may I be charged with some positive energy and no negative samskaras may touch me. Repeat this again and again. If you repeat this after chanting Om a few times, or at the end of it, if you repeat Om, it will have much more effect than just sitting there and thinking so. Because it's a powerful sound. The link between the visible world and that which is not, this chanting of Om, is the bridge between the two. So do that and try to remedy yourself, free yourself of your negative samskaras by substituting them with positive samskaras.
Thank you, sir.
Now it's time.
Should we take up one last question, sir?
Okay. Okay.
This is by Indrani. Humble pranams to you, dear Guruji. It's heartbreaking to see innocent lives being taken away in the most violent way and followed by retaliation in a similar manner.
Wait. I'm looking for Indrani. Please wait. Missed the
Related to the present situation that's going on. We
Say the
have
name again. Oh, Indrani, yes.
3 questions, yes.
It's heartbreaking to see innocent lives taken away in the moment. Yeah, followed by retaliation. How to live our lives with any composure and do our duties in the midst of such calamity? Yes.
Yes,
So if you see such calamity around you, all the more reason, Indrani, that you should not do anything like that first. First, in our life, we should make sure that we are not part of this. What others do, you cannot stop them. But you in your life, or I in my life, should not do what is breaking your heart when you see it happen in other places. It's easy to preach, but we have to follow first. And I think if one follows and if our heart becomes purified, then if you talk to those who are behaving in a manner like that, they will hear you. Otherwise, nobody is going to listen. It's precisely for this that we had the walk of hope. Part of it was that for political purposes and for caste, creed, etc., people divide. They become violent. They try to divide. Our job is to unite, to bring people together. Now, when a war is happening and there is bombing, you can't go there and jump in and do anything. You know why the war is happening? Because I have not thought peacefully. It's a collective consciousness of human beings that creates both peace and war. So my contribution should be, in my place where I live, I will not do any of these things, and I will try. Of course, you can voice your protest. It may not have much of an effect. But if you are free and if you have a pure heart, that word will go along. Now, there is something happening today. This kind of situation is happening today in another part of the world. It's a fact. And believe me, I have been trying my level best to send this thought to them to stop and be at peace, because we are all the same human beings. We are not different. We may differ in our beliefs, in our systems, but we are still the same human beings. And this is no answer. This is not a solution to the problem. That's all I can say at the moment. We should improve. We should become better so that in future we don't project a humanity which becomes violent. That's the only thing we can do. Okay. So thank you very much. Namaskar. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. And I promise that I will come there. We will have a nice one-to-one talk. Okay? Which is better than artificial intelligence. And we'll sort it out. I'm so sorry about not coming. Huh? Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your time. Thank you for this session.
Peace.
And we eagerly look forward to